A very good afternoon, my dear students. Welcome back to history class. Mahatma Gandhi and the national movement. We have discussed about non-cooperation movement, factors which led to the non-cooperation movement, and the program of non-cooperation movement, and the impact of non-cooperation movement. Finally, the suspension of non-cooperation movement, the incident of Chauri Chaura incident. All these points we have discussed. Now we will move on to the second event, which was led by Mahatma Gandhi, that is the civil disobedience movement. Here in the word itself we can see the word meaning, that is the civil disobedience. That means not obeying the civil laws. Not obeying the civil laws. There is a difference between, then you may get the doubt that even non-cooperation movement also we did not accept with the British government. Those who are doing evil doer, thinking as evil doer of the British government, we did not cooperate with them. And here also we are not obeying the British government. What is the difference between these two? Of course there is a difference between these two. The non-cooperation movement sought to bring the working of the government to a standstill by not cooperating with the administration. Please do observe the difference, really observe the difference between these two words. Non-cooperation movement means it is sought to bring the working of the British government to a standstill without working by not cooperating with the administration. On the other hand, civil disobedience movement means that it was an attempt of paralyzing the administration by breaking some specific rules and regulations. Not without cooperating in all the ways. Some specific ways, rules and regulations, breaking some rules and regulations which were made by the British government, breaking those rules and regulations especially which were not favorable to our Indians, breaking those rules and breaking those laws. In this way, making that paralyze the government without working. Of course, they are just stopping the working of the government in the non-cooperation movement. Here, just paralyzing the administration of the government. This is the difference between non-cooperation and the civil disobedience movement. Very, very important, the difference between non-cooperation and civil disobedience movement. Now we will move on to the factors, two factors which led to the civil disobedience movement. One is the Simon Commission and the other one is the Declaration of the Purna Swaraj. Simon Commission, we'll see. In November 1927, the British government appointed the Indian Statutory Commission, popularly known as the Simon Commission. In November 1927, the British government appointed, they had seen that the changes which were taking place day by day, like especially under the leadership of Mahatma Gandhi, non-cooperation movement, then the Khilafat movement, all the other events. By seeing all these things, again from the Britain Parliament, the British government had appointed and sent a commission which was called as Simon, popularly known as Simon Commission, after the name of the chairman, Sir John Simon, who was appointed as the chairman of that commission to investigate the need for further constitutional reforms in India. But unfortunately, the commission was composed of 7 British members of Parliament. This commission, surprisingly, very interestingly, to look after the constitutional reforms which would be made to our India's beneficial purpose, they had sent from Britain Parliament 7 members as the Simon Commission. Is there any, it looks like a fun, it looks like a fun, because what do they know, those are living in Britain Parliament and there, London, how do they know that the circumstances, the needs, what are the things are required here, what are the needs necessary here to make constitutional reforms in our Indian, which are favorable to our Indians, to make constitutional reforms. They had sent 7 members with a commission from Britain Parliament. So, it had no Indian member. Very importantly, it had not even one member as Indian member. This was seen as a violation of the principles of self-determination and a deliberate insult to the self-respect of the Indians. At the Madras session in 1927, presided over by Dr. Ansari, the National Congress decided to boycott the commission at every stage and in every form. The Muslim League and the Hindu Mahasabha decided to support the Congress decision. In fact, we can say in this one favorable thing is that Simon Commission united at least temporarily different groups and parties in the country. So on February 3rd, the day the commission reached Bombay, an All India Hartal was organized. Wherever the commission went, it was greeted with Hartals and black flag demonstrations under the slogan Simon Go Back, Simon Go Back. The government used brutal suppression and police attacks to break the popular opposition. On October 30th, 1928, while leading a demonstration at Lahore railway station, Lala Lajpat Rai lost his life as a result of lathi blows from the police. This is actually from why was the Simon Commission sent and what was its impact means. Here very important concept that name the freedom fighter who had lost his life due to the lathi blows of the Simon Commission, Lala Lajpat Rai, you will have to mention. And why was the Simon Commission sent? To make some constitutional reforms in India. It was sent by British Parliament with 7 members of the members from the British Parliament, members of Parliament. It had not even one member as Indian member. Because of this reason, our Indians felt insulted and they wanted to oppose that. So, but as I have told that, it is at least one positive thing is that due to this reason, many of our Indian political groups, as political parties and groups, united together. So, what were the recommendations made in the Simon Commission to make some constitutional reforms in our India? So, let us discuss some of the points which were mentioned as the recommendations in the Simon Commission. First and foremost, diarchy should be abolished and there should be complete autonomy in the provinces. Here, diarchy means government by 2 independent authorities. A government by 2 independent authorities. It should be abolished and there should be complete autonomy in the provinces. That means here provinces should be ruled by only the provincial rulers. There should not be any interference of the central government, that is British government. So diarchy, here 2 independent rulers, 2 independent authorities governing should be abolished. Especially in the they need a complete autonomy in the provinces, including the Department of Law and Order also. But the governor should be given overriding powers in certain matters like the internal security. Next, provincial legislative council should be enlarged. Provincial legislative council should be enlarged. Federal government at the center should embrace not only British India but also princely states. Then the Governor General should select and appoint members of his cabinet. Next, British troops and British officers should stay on in Indian regiment for many more years. Next, high courts should be under the administrative control of the Government of India. Then the communal representation was to continue. These were the recommendations made in the Simon Commission to make some changes in the constitutional reforms. Of course, as in one way these are okay, but few can be accepted and few are not accepted by our Indians, which were made under the Simon Commission. Then as a result they made a report, Nehru report. It was made against the Simon Commission, Nehru report, and first and foremost we Indians got, as I have mentioned, Indians got insulted, felt insulted that not even one member as the member of the Simon Commission, and for that the Britishers replied that why they did not select. They said that Indians were not united and could not arrive at the agreed scheme of reforms. On the other hand, in reverse, they criticized us only. Our Indians were not united, so that they did not take even one Indian as a member of Simon Commission. This made our Indians as insulted, and at least temporarily again all the parties and all the groups, political parties and groups became united. and made a report, that is the Nehru report. It's not made by Jawaharlal Nehru. It was prepared by Motilal Nehru. That is why it is called as Nehru report. But Nehru report, which is mentioned in your textbook, just it is, since it is given a star mark, my dear students, it's not much more important to learn more briefly about that. Just I will give you a glance that what were the important points mentioned in the Nehru report. In that report, they gave the report, showed the report to the Britishers by asking dominion status for India, that the Parliament of India should consist of the Senate elected for 7 years, containing 200 members elected by the Provincial Council, and the House of Representation with 500 members elected for 5 years through adult franchise, joint electorates with reservation of seats for minorities on population basis with the right to contest additional seats, creation of new provinces on linguistic basis based on language, 19 fundamental rights including the right to vote, freedom from arbitrary arrest, then searches and seizures, freedom of conscience, etc. These were mentioned in the Nehru report. Of course, those points, just you can have a glance, you can have a look into that points. It's not important for the examination purpose, but as an against to this Simon Commission recommendations which were made, our Indian leaders united and they prepared a report under the leadership of Motilal Nehru, and they sent it to the British government. But since there was no response to that Nehru report, we have waited. They had waited for 1 year to get any response from the British government, and as a result, we led the civil disobedience movement. Next factor which led to the civil disobedience movement was declaration of Purna Swaraj. The Kolkata session of the Congress had served an ultimatum to the British government to accept the Nehru report by the end of 1929 or to face a mass movement. They had given, our Indian National Congress leaders had served as sent an ultimatum to the British government to accept the Nehru report by end of 1929. Since the 1 year time limit set, the Kolkata session passed without any positive response from the British government. The Nehru report was declared to have lapsed. At the Lahore session of the Congress in 1929, Jawaharlal Nehru was made the President of the Congress. At the historic Lahore session of 1929, it passed a resolution declaring Purna Swaraj or complete independence to be objective of the Congress. On the midnight of December 31st, 1929, Jawaharlal Nehru led a procession to the banks of the river Ravi at Lahore and hoisted the tricolor flag. He proclaimed that it was a crime against man and God to submit any longer to British rule. The Congress Working Committee met in January 1930 and decided the following programs. So, actually, on December 31st midnight 1929, Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru hoisted tricolor flag at the banks of the river Ravi at Lahore, and the very next month, in the January 1930, they started to continue a program of this part of civil disobedience. What were the programs they started to continue in the very next month? Preparation for civil disobedience. As per the Purna Swaraj resolution, which was a resolution, or they took an objective of the Congress, International Congress in Lahore session, that what was the resolution? Purna Swaraj or complete independence. The word Swaraj in the Congress Constitution would thenceforth mean complete independence or Purna Swaraj, which was set forth as the goal of the national movement. Next, observance of 26th of January as the Purna Swaraj Day all over the country with the hoisting of the tricolor flag. Of course, on December 31st, 1929, December 31st itself, Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru hoisted, but all over the country, it started to hoist on January 26th, 1930. Every year they started to hoist the national flag. tricolor flag, and they declared it as a complete Independence Day or Purna Swaraj Day. Then resignations by members of the legislature, withdrawal from all possible association with the British government. Whatever any associations are connected with the British government, if our Indian members are members of that any association of British government, withdrawal of all the possible associations. These are the five types of programs they wanted to decide as a part of civil disobedience movement. Just recall what were the two causes which led to the civil disobedience movement: Simon Commission and Declaration of Purna Swaraj. Why was the Simon Commission sent, and what was the impact of Simon Commission, and what were the recommendations made in the Simon Commission? As a react of Simon Commission about Motilal Nehru report, and not to getting any positive response towards the Nehru report, they started Declaration of Purna Swaraj. They announced the Declaration of Purna Swaraj. These two led as a part of civil disobedience movement. Now we will move on to the concept civil disobedience movement. How did it lead? The Congress Working Committee met in February 1930 at Sabarmati Ashram and vested in Gandhiji all the powers to launch the civil disobedience movement. Before starting the movement, again Gandhiji served on the British government a 11-point ultimatum. After waiting to vain for the government response to his ultimatum, Gandhiji started the movement with his famous Dandi march from the Sabarmati Ashram to Dandi on the Gujarat coast. So very important concept. Question can be asked, describe about Dandi march, or what was the first incident took part as a part of civil disobedience movement, Dandi march. On 12th March, Mahatma Gandhi began the historic march from Sabarmati Ashram to Dandi, a village on the Gujarat sea coast. A number of people followed him. On the morning of the 6th April, Gandhiji violated the salt law. See, he started from Sabarmati Ashram on 12th March and by walking, and he reached April 6th. He reached there, Dandi, the village, a village sea coast, a village in the Gujarat sea coast. He reached there on 6th April. He violated the salt law at Dandi by picking up some salt left by the sea waves. What was this salt law actually? According to the salt law, the government had the monopoly to manufacture and sell the salt. That was the salt law which was made by the British government. You see, very interestingly, the soil is ours, people are, the labor workers are ours, and it belongs to us. And who were those people to make laws on the soil, on the people who were, and then we people blindly following those laws and paying the taxes and revenues, right? So here Gandhiji violated the salt law at Dandi by picking up some salt left by the sea waves. According to the salt law, the government had the monopoly to manufacture and sell the salt. Only the British government had the monopoly. You know what is meant by monopoly, okay? Then he had selected to attack the salt laws because he started, as we have learned in the beginning of this concept, what was the civil disobedience movement? Breaking of some laws. By breaking some laws of the government, making the government as paralyzed, not working, as not in the working condition. So first and foremost, he had chosen this salt law, breaking of salt law, because salt tax affected all sections of society, especially the poor. Gandhiji's breaking of the salt laws marked the beginning of the civil disobedience movement. What was the program involved in the civil disobedience movement? As a part of civil disobedience movement, defense of salt laws, boycott of liquor, boycott of foreign clothes and British goods of all kinds, and non-payment of taxes and revenues. Once again, here again it is mentioned there is a difference between civil disobedience and non-cooperation. Civil disobedience movement was different from the non-cooperation movement. The former involved non-payment of taxes and land revenue as well as violation of all taxes of different kinds in addition to non-cooperation activities. In added, for the non-cooperation activities, it is added. What was added? Not paying any taxes or land revenues, as well as violating the laws, which are very difficult for the Indians.